Hi Gemini, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I'm going to be doing your January 2020 full moon reading. Now, the scope of this full moon, the impact it will have on you, is from January 10th, which is when the full moon is in January, to February 9th, which is when the full moon in February is. All right, so let's get started, and I will explain all the cards I have laid out here in just a moment. But I'm going to be putting the Spirit Guide Animal Oracle cards over to the side, and I'll be using this at the very end. And then we have the Moonology Oracle card and the Queen of the Moon, the Moon Queen, Queen of the Moon, I don't know. It'll be in the description box below. Oracle cards. I'm going to be layering these after I finish with the tarot on top of the tarot to give even greater insight, even greater understanding as to what the moon is saying to us. All right, so I'm going to put these over to the side as well. Okay, and now let's get started. Gemini, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus, and see what January 2020 full moon has in store for you, how it will be impacting you. Gemini, January 2020 full moon. Gemini, January 2020 full moon. Gemini, January 2020 full moon. Oh goodness, Gemini. January 2020 full moon. Gemini. January 2020 full moon. Gemini. Okay. All right. Show me clearly, show me clearly, show me clearly, show me clearly, show me clearly. Fantastic. That is where we are going to stop. All right, at the center of everything, Gemini, is you shining through as the Queen of Swords. You are crowned by the Two of Pentacles. There's a lot that you are balancing. You have the Nine of Wands. The Two of Wands, the repeat of the number 2, is about creativity, coming together. The Three of Pentacles. The Tower, this moon brings with it tremendous change. It's not bad change whatsoever. It is simply a change that pushes you out of your comfort zone. Right? And the Seven of Wands of victory is here. Then we have the Four of Swords. Right? The Three of Swords. And Justice. Justice is also a Libra energy, a time frame of September 23rd to October 22nd. Fantastic. So let's dive in. Before we start talking about the tarot and what the tarot is saying here, let's dive in and talk about this full moon. This full moon is the first full moon of a decade, of 2020, of the Roaring 20s, which is very exciting. But which makes this full moon so much more exciting is that it is also an eclipse. So the first full moon of 2020 is an eclipse. The last full moon of the teens of 2019 was, well, the new moon, it was an eclipse. So it ended on an eclipse, a decade ended on an eclipse, and a decade starts on an eclipse. So there's really powerful energy here that's really, really beautiful. The energy of Cancer is amplified by the eclipse, and this is really going to be talking about the divine feminine, the sense of a coming together of your power, of what you want from life, but very much from the place of the heart, from the place of emotional feeling and emotional truth. There is an underlying issue here of, not issue, but you're going to feel very drawn to the home, to a place of sanctuary, a sense of belonging. Ancestral roots can be coming out very strongly during this time, especially the roots when involved with women. Okay, messages from women from your past are going to be coming up, and forgotten memories are going to be coming up. So things that you haven't been thinking of or haven't thought of for quite some time, Gemini, are going to be coming to the forefront of your mind. Now, what's so beautiful about this moon is that, yes, it amplifies the divine feminine, and we have the divine feminine standing right here, showing her power. And it says, quite frankly, power. And it says here, surrender to the divine. So as you are moving forward, Gemini, during this full moon, and in this full moon, there is a bit of a surrenderance to the divine, to power, to divine power, to where it is that you want to be standing, but also to reclaiming your voice, not being hidden away anymore, moving very much forward in your truth. Watch out, because here with the Queen of Swords, there can be and there always is a tendency with us air signs. I myself am a Gemini, so I do know what I'm talking about here. There is a tendency that where we can get a little bit sharp-tongued if we do not watch our words. So just be mindful of that as you move forward. And it's going to come because of some pain that you have been through in the past, some heartbreak that is actually going to be resolved during this full moon. There is a sense of loving and caring and nurturing, moving you forward and moving you to the place that you need to be, to the place that you want to be, body, mind, and spirit. And as you embrace your heart, yourself, and your soul, there is going to be this silvery light around you. There's going to be this sense of a cooling healing coming forward. And this is also a time of Spirit has said to me that this time of the new moon is a time of planting the seed of desire. Not sexual desire, not personal desire, but it may very well be for some of you. But there is a seed here that is being planted of what you really want to manifest in 2020, really want to plant during this time of being in the womb, of being connected to the darkness, to a time of solitude and comprehension and contemplation as you move forward. So there is a seed being planted and it will grow into the light. Even if you are in the southern hemisphere where it is summer now, there's a sense of this being like the incubator where you put baby chicks in, needing the warmth to let it grow, to let it move forward. So the warmth of the sun is going to be very important to you, but there is something that you are manifesting that needs to be inside more, that is going to come within the darkness, within the dark hours, within the time of quiet contemplation. Meditation is going to be very important to you too, Gemini, during this time, a sense of a coming together of your mind, your understanding, and yourself. And it doesn't have to be, oh goodness, okay, so let's try this one at a time. It doesn't have to be that you sit down and you meditate. It can be that you go out for a walk, or you connect with something that you love that just lets your mind kind of flow and come to new ideas, new understandings, because this is a wolf moon, right, according to the almanac, and this is very much a time of power and understanding and a hunger for deeper truth and deeper knowledge. And this full moon is in Cancer, so a personal issue is being resolved. There's a resolution, you're reaching a resolution to it. And there's a hunger for peace. There's a hunger for a sense of security, a sense of stability, a sense of steadiness. And that's what this full moon is really bringing up. And that's why there are whispers from those who have passed, those who have come before you. And as I said before, especially women, because there is such a power within the sacred feminine with the sign of Cancer to really move us forward, in emotional truths that might be overlooked for, success in the way that others view it, see it, and define it. So here, you are moving forward towards this truth, and listen to the soft words being said to you. Listen to the thoughts that you have that you might overlook. At times you might sit there and think, oh no, that's not as forceful as I need to be. This is really going to be a time where you get more with honey, when you get more with sweetness. And it doesn't mean that you're a pushover. It means that you get more with stepping out and really using your emotions as your compass than force, than, sitting there and saying, this is what I'm going to do, and nothing and no one can stop me. So there is a need for balance. There is a need for truth here, but there is a hunger for something more, and it's for things to be resolved, for things to move forward in understanding, for there to be a peace. And you're actually going to see, Gemini, that, and I don't want this to scare you off, but almost that you had to lose it all in order to regain it, to build something much more steady, much more secure, much more in line with you than you were before. So there is something that you have gone through. It's either during this time, or it has been before. Actually, it's before this time, but it's coming to the forefront of your mind, and you're really working through issues that have held you back in the past, and you are setting out a new foundation. This leads us to the full moon eclipse, which says conclusions are within reach. And that's really what you're doing. You're reaching conclusions. You're really coming up with new ideas and new understandings about yourself that are within reach, that are empowering you, that are moving you forward. And this leads to the void of course. Now, the void of course is going to be during the eclipse at 6:58. All right, this is Eastern Standard Time. And so at 6:58, sorry, my tongue just clicked. At 6:58, this is going to be a time where you do not want to make any big decisions at all. Now, the void, of course, I don't actually see that. It's going to be very big for Taurus. So if you have Taurus in your chart, I'm putting down in the description box below when the void of courses are during January up to February 9th. All right. So if you do have Taurus in your chart, or you know somebody who has Taurus in their chart, and you want to look at the times where they shouldn't be making big decisions, then that will be in the description box below. But here, I don't see it really being as big for you, Gemini. I really don't. But I do see it being a time where, of course, what you think is going to happen, the decisions that you make during this time, or the things that are said during this time, they're not actually going to go the way that you had envisioned them. And I really see this as a time between 6:50 and 7:15. That I would just clear out that time, no big decisions being made, nothing big going on. If you could just let that be a time for you, a time to step back, a time to embrace what you want, that is going to be highly beneficial for you. Then we move to the new moon. Now, the new moon is in Aquarius. And this is saying bring love into your life. I mean, bring love into the situation, bring love into your life, bring love, and have that be how you move forward. It's a place of emotion and a place of emotional truth, because this full moon is bringing up emotional scars and saying, you know what, you're okay. This is needed to be looked at kind of head on. And as it is looked at head on, you are finding the power of your truth, of yourself, and you're bringing love into the situation. And why is that important? Well, as you know, if you've watched me before, I believe that we are emotional beings. And as emotional beings, we come from the place of the heart. And you might say, okay, we're logical beings, I think everything out. But as much as we think things out, we still have this sense of what resonates with us and our heart's truth and our emotions and the way we wake up in the morning, and if we're cranky or if we're rested and ready to go, that impacts us. And that I see as emotions. And emotions also impact the mind, impact the way we interact with each other. So as emotional beings, you are going to find that if you bring love into a situation, if you say, how would I like to be treated in this situation? Or, what is it that is needed to calm things down? And I'm not saying for you to calm down every situation. I'd actually say for you to let people work things out. But there is a sense of needing to be peace. And it is a need that you have during this time, a strength that you're pulling off of or pulling from to move you forward. And this leads to the new moon, which says a new start is coming. There is from love, a new seed is planted. And from love, the seed that you have planted with the full moon, what is being incubated, what you truly desire and what you truly want starts to grow. And you start to see yourself moving forward towards the results that you want, towards the place that you want to be. Now, this moves you. This moves you to the animals that surround this month. Now, around January, this is the bear and the owl spirit. So in the spirit oracle cards, the animal spirit oracle cards, we have the brown bear spirit and we have the owl spirit. So this says take time out. It is going to be absolutely imperative for yourself, Gemini, to take time out to really see what it is that you want, how it is that you want to move forward, what it is that you want to do. This isn't going to be a time of lightning bolt decisions. It's going to be a time of contemplation, of understanding, of stepping back and really embracing your heart. And then this leads to the owl spirit, which says you see clearly now. You see with clarity is what I'm really seeing here. You see with truth, with understanding, and with a power greater than yourself. And so with this clarity, you are going to be seeing with divine power. And then we move into February, which is the otter spirit, which says you are never alone. And that's going to be very important as you move into February, to know that you are never alone, that love is surrounding you, even if at times you don't feel that way. I'm not saying that there's going to be this sense of loneliness around you. I don't want that to be misconstrued. What I'm saying is that you are going to feel more connected, more entwined with spirit as you move forward. And that's going to be something that is highly beneficial to you. At the heart of everything is the Queen of Swords, and that's you. You are represented by the swords in the minor arcana. You are represented by the lovers in the major arcana. Also, this represents Libras, who are represented by the Justice card in the minor arcana and the swords, the Justice card in the major arcana, there we go, and the swords in the minor arcana. So you are moving forward in your truth, and justice, balance, is going to be something that you strive towards. There can be a striving towards a work-home life balance, okay? Also a sense of balance of self, of soul, spiritual and prosperity balance is going to be so important to you, and that's going to be something that you're juggling a lot. It's at your crown right here, but there is a sense of power coming in. And you have here the bull guarding you. Now, this is also, the bull is representative of a Taurus energy. So there is also a stubbornness, a strength, a sensuality that is guarding you, that as you move forward, that people are going to be taking note of. Also know that the color rose and the sense of roses is going to be very important to you during this time, because the color for this time, for this full moon, is rose. And so I see you here surrounded by roses, and just the smell of roses grounding you, centering you, especially if you're finding this full moon to be emotionally a bit overwhelming. So what you are doing here is you are claiming your power, you are speaking your truth. Justice is very important, a sense of coming together and working two sides of a situation, which, Gemini, is what you excel at, because you are the twins. You see things through two eyes. So there is one set of you and there's another set. Well, there's one of you and then there's another, and that moves you forward. It's kind of like the person who, if you're like me, sometimes you drink coffee, and when you drink coffee, you drink it black, because I'm a tea drinker mostly, but other times you like milk and sugar, and so they're like complete opposites, and that's what you're going to be seeing yourself as. At times you're going to be looking at it and be like, wow, that's the complete opposite of what I did yesterday or how I felt 5 minutes ago, but go with it, because there's a malleability here with you. There's a sense of a flexibility here with you that you're really embracing and really empowering, that's really empowering for you. And then we have the Three of Swords. Now, the Three of Swords is heartbreak and pain and disappointment, and just looking at things and saying, oh my gosh, how did I get here? Or how did this happen? Or can I move forward? And with the Three of Swords right here, you have the sacred feminine again coming in, because you have that symbol right there of the sacred feminine, of the Trinity, coming in, a maiden, mother, crone. And it can also be, if you are Christian, the Trinity of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, or however you would like to see this. This could also be spirit, earth and water coming together. There is just so many combinations that are moving you forward, and the power of 3 is going to be very important to you. A sense of greater knowledge and greater understanding, and a 3 times wisdom. You will see things repeating themselves in threes for you during this time, from the 9th to the 10th, and you will be looking at situations with more light, with more understanding. There's a deeper truth. Now, this is also talking about heartbreak, and there is a heartbreak that you have been through, Gemini, that is going to come to the surface, because this is also about unresolved issues, memories, and things that have been suppressed. And so know that things will be coming up during this time where you might find yourself needing to talk to somebody. If you need to talk to somebody, please do so for your own personal health and well-being. But there is a sense of needing to be able to address this, needing to be able to address and name the hardships, the pains, the disappointments that you have been through, because it's actually going to empower you. It's going to set you free from what has kept you down and now move you forward. So there is a sense here of you pulling that sword out, you setting yourself free, or pulling those swords out. What I really see as the main one, as the one in the center, is pulled out, the one that is on fire. You actually purge yourself with the sun's light, or with the moon's light, but it's mostly the sun's light here. You purge yourself from the hardships that you have been through. You purge yourself from the sorrows, the pains, the disappointments, and you set yourself anew. And as you set yourself anew, you're going to find that you're balancing the spiritual world and the earthly world. And there is going to be a time where you're balancing a lot and you're not really seeing the bigger picture of it. You're not really seeing how to move forward towards where you need to be, towards where you want to be. So you feel a bit off balance. And as you're feeling off balance, there is going to be something that comes from somebody who's very loyal to you. It can be the dog, okay? Or if you have a dog in your life, it can be a dog, but it's somebody who's loyal, who's faithful, or something that's loyal and faithful that you've always found comfort in. And that's going to bring the balance into alignment. That's going to lead you to not feeling like you're juggling on one foot on a log, by the ocean. If you fall, you hit your head on the rocks, there could be a catastrophe, because that's how you're seeing trying to juggle everything. If you let anything slip, it's all going to fall apart. And Spirit is saying it's not. There's actually a third way of looking at things, a deeper insight, a deeper understanding that pulls the truth towards you. And as that truth is pulled towards you, you have the Four of Swords. Now, the Four of Swords for me is a time of rest and relaxation, but there is also deeper knowledge coming from this wolf moon, because as you see here, it is the wolf full moon, so there's a hunger, and you have the wolves surrounding the man who is laying with his arms kind of crossed over him. I mean, he could be, let me look at this. It could almost be as if he was passed on, or as if he is going through a ritual to obtain deeper knowledge and deeper understanding. The light within his shoe is really what's shining forward here. And it's kind of like you're treading towards wisdom, but you're not going to see it. The full moon is bringing a hunger for this deeper truth, and it's going to be something that you embrace yourself towards, move yourself towards, as you are graced with greater power and greater understanding. As you move forward, you're going to feel that this moon has actually protected you. And as it has protected you, it has given you new insights and new ideas, which is moving you towards the Three of Pentacles. The Three of Pentacles here is wealth not being sought. It is simply there. And this man right here, and let me just look at what he holds in his hand. He is teaching these children who have the candles here, who have light, who have illumination, who have open minds. And there is a sense that the wealth comes as you open your eyes, as you learn with childlike innocence of the wonder that is around you. There is a power that embraces you, and then it moves you towards justice. It moves you towards balance and understanding and a greater sense of self. Things will happen, and you have the repeat of the number 3, just as you have the repeat of the number 2. And I like that progression. Okay, you have here 3 2s, so again now 3 is coming up again, because you have 3 2s. There is a sense of, oh, I'm sorry, this isn't 2, this is 11. I was working with Roman numerals before, but yeah, there is a sense here of greater power and the justice coming from the divine. That's what that meant. So here you have the 2 of Wands and the 2 of Pentacles. This, what you are juggling, is really connected with this earthly plane, with things of the here and of the now. And you're actually going to find things of the here and now a bit more difficult, Gemini. There's a higher connection to the spiritual, and so you might find that you feel a bit out of step with what others find so easy, or with the mundane. You might actually find yourself bored with the everyday things that are going on, the day-to-day things that are going on, right? Also know that the color for the new moon, for the Aquarius new moon, is coral. So that's going to be very grounding, very centering for you to have the color coral be around you. And also if you had, Spirit is showing me a piece of coral. If you have a piece of coral, just as if you have a piece of rose quartz. Rose quartz and coral are going to be 2 things that I would highly recommend either putting under your pillow or carrying in your pocket, something like that, to help you move forward, to help ground you during this time, because you're going to need, you have a stone of the earth. That's it. Okay, that's what Spirit is saying. You have the stone of the earth and you have the coral from the sea, and that's going to help put you together, or put you in balance on this earthly plane and move you forward, because you are going to have a bit of a hard time with that, Gemini, during this time, during this full moon, and from the 10th to the 9th of February. As you embrace your prosperity, as you embrace your wealth, as you learn and the wealth comes to you, the doors are opened, you find justice coming in, and you find that you are holding the scales of justice. And there is a sense here with the pomegranate, okay? Even the smallest things hold the greatest truths. Because when I looked at that pomegranate, I just thought of when, what was her name? Persephone was taken as a wife by Hades in Greek mythology. She ate 1 pomegranate seed, and that bound her to the underworld forever, no matter if she didn't want to be there or not. And that's one of the ways he got her as his wife. So the very littlest things are going to matter, are going to make a big difference for you during this time. And it's actually going to be the little things that you focus on, the things that other people might overlook or might say, oh no, that's not a big deal. It is going to be a big deal to you. So anybody who poo-poos you, who says, oh, that's not a big deal, or that's no big thing, or, what are you even worrying about? That's not going to be the people that you want to have around you, especially during this time. You need people who are understanding. And if you have people who kind of are dismissive about things, know that they don't understand and they're not seeing what you're seeing. So that's going to be very important for you to embrace your truth, to embrace your balance, to embrace your justice, because there is a sense of the justice leading you forward, you cutting through the doubts and fears, and you really are going to be limiting your interactions with those who do not understand. I'm not saying that you're going to have deep philosophical conversations every day, but what I am seeing here is that the justice leads you forward, and it has you looking outwards towards what you need, towards what you want. So you're not really going to be in the mood to make excuses for people or to say, oh, they're just not well, I guess that's excuses. They're just not understanding. You're going to say, okay, you know what? I'm not discussing this right now. I'm not moving forward in that way or with that hostility. And you're going to find yourself removing yourself from the situation very nicely, very kindly, not abruptly, not rudely. But there is an air of royal respect about you. It's like, I deserve to be treated with the respect of kings, of queens, of majesties. And that is really going to be a dignity that you hold yourself to and with during this time, which is actually going to have people very much gravitating towards you because there's an air of power around you. Now, the tower, I know you don't want to see it, and nobody ever wants to see the tower. I don't actually see the tower as a bad thing. I actually see this tower and the two of wands as a brilliant combination, because here you're struck by lightning. I mean, here there are arrows, but there is a sense of an ending. It's almost like the death card, a dying away of the old self, a rebirth of the new. And you had to be shaken to your core. And you might sit there and say, Dane, I didn't want any of this. And that is completely understandable. But Spirit said you needed to get out of your comfort zone. And I was not going to shake, I was not going to shake your comfort zone. That's what Spirit is saying. I needed to shake your comfort zone. I needed to take you out of your comfort zone, because that is how you needed to move forward. And as you were taken out of your comfort zone, as you had your foundation shaken, and this could be for quite some period of time that you've been going through this. And now through this full moon, being the first full moon of a decade, having the eclipse in it, being in Cancer, it's healing you. It's helping you look towards your future, and you're setting yourself free. With that bird in your hands, you are setting yourself free towards something greater, towards something more, towards a beautiful truth. And you're looking at the days, the weeks, the months, the years to come. There's also a twin flame element to this. So your passions are being mirrored. You're moving forward towards something greater. And there can be a spark of love around you, okay? But it doesn't have to be romantic love, though it very well could be. It can also be of passion moving you forward, of desiring something greater, of setting yourself free and moving yourself towards your goals. And then we have here the heartbreak and the pain being released. It's almost as if this dark cloud, it's like, no, it is like a dark cloud. It's like when you breathe out and it's just smoke. It's like that gray, foggy smoke of fires coming out of you. And it is it's the soot that you've been carrying around. It is what's been blocking your light, blocking yourself from moving forward. And it brings you balance. It brings you understanding. The Seven of Wands says that you triumph. Now, the Seven of Wands in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck talks about not needing to fight against others. And that's what I'm seeing here. You have conquered what you have been fighting against, because these wands aren't even brought up in challenge to you, which is how they are in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And there's a sense here, again, with the bird, that you are embracing a flight, embracing a way forward, embracing a freedom. And that is what this time is all about, embracing an emotional freedom that has held you back before, that has had you doubting yourself. And as you embrace this emotional freedom, you think that you are caged when it comes to love, because this is the star of Venus right here. And there is a sense of, oh my gosh, I have to fight for this. I can't possibly move forward this way. The Nine of Wands is saying, how do I get to where it is that I want to be? I'm carrying so much weight. I'm doubting so much. How do I get to where I want to be? How do I set myself free? How do I lighten my load? And it's by embracing your heart, embracing your heart's truth. And as you embrace your heart's truth, the Four of Swords is saying that you see the traumas and the dramas that you have been through. The Four of Swords in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck is a coffin with four swords above it. And that coffin represents the deaths that you could have had. In medieval times, a knight would lay in the coffin, right, when he came back from battle, and think of all the ways that he could have died. And that is seen here, all right? There is a sense of thinking of all the ways that life could have broken you, or, had broken you, but you put yourself back together. And now embracing that. And this wolf's moon guards you as fiercely as a wolf. You see yourself moving towards a greater truth, moving towards a greater power, embracing what you truly desire. And as you do so, the heartbreak that you have been defending yourself against becomes a freedom, because you see how strong you are. You see how strong your heart is. And you might say, Dane, I don't want to be this strong. And that is justified. I mean, there are many a times where you go through dark nights of the souls, and I've been through them most definitely myself, where you say, I don't want to be this strong. I want to have somebody to pull me out of the darkness. But Spirit is saying here, no, this is on you. This is your challenge. This is bringing you your prosperity. This is bringing you your gold with this triangle right here. And as you move forward, you embrace a truth that you had thought forgotten. And you embrace a power within yourself that brings justice back into your life and brings beauty back into your soul. And not that those were missing, but they were not at the forefront. And now they come to the forefront. And it gives you a power that takes your breath away. So let's see what the Moonology cards have to say. Gemini. January 2020 full moon, Gemini. January 2020 full moon, Gemini. January 2020 full moon, Gemini. Fantastic. Okay. And I'm going to lay these out quietly. Yeah, you have a full moon in Libra. Libra is very important to you. A sense of balance, a sense of understanding. The time frame, September 23rd to October 22nd. There's something about that that's pulling you. It can be that it's revealed in 2020 during this time, but it can also be from 2019 where your eyes were open about a truth about yourself that you were being called to again. Okay? Yeah, that's what Spirit is saying here. Let's see what the Queen of the Moon has to say. Gemini. January 2020 full moon. 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 Gemini. Show me clearly. 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 Fantastic. Peace. Peace at last. That's beautiful. Okay. So what we're starting with is at your heart right here is the first quarter moon, which says your commitment is being tested, and it's your commitment to yourself, your commitment to what you want and what you love and the way that you want to be moving forward. Gemini, it is being tested. And the thing is that is actually a really good thing. There's a spotlight being shown on you, and that's what the full moon does. It shines a spotlight. It connects us with the divine, and it moves us forward. So here, there is a spotlight on you, and your commitment to to your higher self, to where it is that you want to be, to also your grounding, to the sense of moving forward towards what you want on this earthly realm. It is being tested, and you might say, for some of you, you might be saying, but Dane, it has been tested, and that's what this is talking about. It's talking about you staying on course with yourself, you staying in your truth, and this leads you to discernment. It leads you to a sense of discovering what it is that you want, discovering the way that you want to move forward. And you see that you hold more power than you had ever realized. And the moon, which is right up here within the clouds, it brings a sense of enlightenment, and it almost kind of blows your mind. And as it blows your mind, it enlightens your heart, and it moves you from, because you see here, the orbs are actually aligned, which is really quite beautiful. And it is moving you forward. It is clearing your heart of the pain, of the sorrow, of the doubts, of the fears. Not that you will never have these again. You're human. This is where we live as human beings, but you are moving forward towards a sense of empowerment, towards a sense of seeing everything that you have been through, not as a, oh, why me, but as a strengthening of self and of soul. You've been made into a diamond, and you are being made into a diamond. And if you've listened to me before, you might roll your eyes and say, oh no, not the diamond story again. But diamonds are made by just simply being a piece of coal that's put under a tremendous amount of pressure for an astoundingly long period of time. And that's how I see life. We as human beings are made to shine by being put under a tremendous amount of pressure for an astoundingly long period of time, and either we crumble or we rise. And if you're watching these videos, you yourself, you're rising, because your energy vibration level is higher. It's not base. You're not down here with everybody else. You're up here. You're looking for more. You're seeking more. You're finding more. And it might break your heart at times, the revelations that come your way, the way that you see things, the way that you're looking at things. The world, it may just break your heart. But you are by it breaking your heart, you are expanding your heart. And you are seeing that your capacity for love, for truth, for understanding, for justice is so much greater than it was before. And the justice that you have for yourself, the sense of dignity of self, which is what I mean by justice, is absolutely profound. It leads you to being crowned by the new moon in Aries. It's time for action. It's not time to sit there and juggle and doubt and fear. There is, within the darkness, within the place where you've planted the seed of what you want and where you want to be and how you want to move forward. It's time for action. It's time to look at it and say, I am incubating this dream. I am embracing this dream. And I am not going to feel, well, not feel, because you can't help your feelings, but do not look at it as if there are only challenges in your way. Look at it as the power of your success that is guiding you, and that you are balancing, and that something along the way is going to come that really sets you anew, that really has you look at things differently, that really brings you into the forefront of your mind and your understanding. And this leads you to extremes. And the extreme is here being, looking at all the ways that you could have been defeated, looking at all the obstacles you have overcome, looking at the light that guides your steps and your feet and that leads you forward. There are extremes within life, and life is built off of extremes, even if they are mundane extremes. You are seeing a deeper power. You are guarded by this moon to move towards a more profound truth of self that leads you to the Leo new moon, which says confidence is your key to success, to your key of bounty and prosperity and abundance, to moving forward towards where you need to be, towards where you want to be, towards seeing that the wealth that surrounds you comes from greater knowledge and soaking up teachings, right? Your confidence is key to your success. Do not doubt. Don't say, oh no, I can't possibly, do that. I can't possibly, move forward this way. Yes, you can. And it is going to be brilliant as you do. And then we have here peace with justice. Justice, balance, understanding, seeing things more clearly is bringing you peace, is moving you forward. And that's what this moon is for you. It is a sense of clarity, of justice, of peace, of a coming together of self. and of a moving forward in your power. Meditation would be highly beneficial for you. Just to sit, to center yourself. If you don't like sitting, to go for a walk, but just a sense of centering. This leads you to the waning moon, which says, what do you need to release? And you have the Tower. Because divinity is releasing it for you. What do you need to release? Kind of maybe cut divinity off at the knees, kind of get there first, kind of thing. But what you need to release will move you forward to what you need to achieve. And this is profound. This is profound. It leads you towards assessing, but it also leads you towards ascending, because you are assessing the future. You're looking at things, but you are ascending towards where you need to be, towards what you were born to be, towards to whom you were born to be. Who? You were born to be, who you were born to be. You are finding new powers. You are setting yourself free. There is a flight within you, and you feel it. It's calling you. It's calling you to rise higher and higher and higher. And this leads you to discernment, to understanding, to being discerning. Not letting everybody's energy crowd around you, not letting everybody take a piece of you. Be discerning. And as you are discerning, you find peace. As you set up your boundaries, as you say, this is who I am, this is what I accept, this is what I don't accept, this is where I'm heading, this is what I don't want at all. You find that you move forward towards greatness. And as you move forward towards greatness, you have the full moon in Libra. So the balanced energy is really moving you forward. And it says a win-win outcome is forecast. And you're already starting to see your success. So a win-win outcome is forecast, but you are already seeing your success and your power. Knowing your worth. This leads you to creation. And there is a sense, for those of you, no, for a lot of you, Geminis, you haven't been able to create because your heart has been broken. And now that your heart is mending, now that you're seeing your worth and your truth and your power, you aren't fighting the love that you will be stepping into. And you are creating what it is that you want, whether it be that you are physically going to create something, or that you are creating the existence that you want, which is also physically creating something. But what I'm saying here is, for some of you, you should use this time to outline art, okay? For others, there is a more practical use of this energy around you. But for some of you, there has been something that you love that you haven't been able to create because your heart has been broken. And now you are embracing your power and your truth and yourself, and you are seeing that you are enough to create exactly what your heart desires and exactly what you need. It will not be exactly the way you envisioned it, so don't think it's going to work out exactly like you have it in your head. But the feeling of happiness, of joy, of contentment, of peace, that will be yours. And isn't that what everybody in this world is looking for? And you might have moments when it flies away from you, when you feel as if, oh my gosh, like you're an Aries energy, like, oh my gosh, I just need to take action. I've lost it and everything's falling apart, and you get really dramatic here. But what you are creating is ascending you to a higher power, to a higher truth. And you're assessing it, you're looking at it new. And it moves you towards the extremes. So yes, your highs will be highs and your lows will be lows. But you will also then find a way to balance out as you connect with spirit, as you move yourself closer to what you were divinely put on this earth for. And then that leads you to discernment, to saying, okay, this is what I need, this is what I want, and this is what I don't, and this is what I can't have in my life because it does not resonate with me and it does not help me grow as an individual. Now let's see what your spirit guide animal card has to say. And I'm only going to draw one at your heart. So let's see. Gemini 2020 January. Well, Gemini January 2020 full moon. 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 Show me clearly. Show me clearly, show me clearly, show me clearly, show me clearly, show me clearly. Fantastic. All right, at the heart of everything is the fox spirit. Think on your feet. use the energy that is around you. Play with it. Be friendly with it. Just get curious with it. But think on your feet. Cultivate and create what you want in the now. Don't sit there and think, oh, I have to just think and ruminate and ponder and work things out before I can act. There's a sense of the creation energy of spirit being around you, the creation energy of the divine feminine being around you all the time. Think on your feet. Use it wisely. Let it engulf and embrace your heart. Your subconscious message is the rabbit spirit, which says, now is your lucky time, because it is. Now is your lucky time, and there's a sweetness to you. There's a caring for the young. There's a caring for what comes next that is around you, and there is a beauty that you are embracing. This leads you to the subconscious message of the Moonology cards, which says, it's the fixed moon. Hold your vision. Hold what you want in your mind. The first place that we create things is through our mind's eye, through our mind's power. And as you hold in your mind what you want, you will grow. Because your mind does not know the difference between what has happened and what you have imagined. So if you say in your mind, and if you see in your mind, you being the success that you want to be, you creating, and this moon is fantastic for creation. You creating the life that you want, the power that you want, the prosperity that you want within your life. Not power over others, but power within your soul, within yourself, to rise yourself up, to embrace greatness. If you fix that within your mind's eye, and you think about it, and you see it, and it's not, oh, I wish I could, it's, oh, I already have. Look at my life within my mind, and then you work towards it every single day. This will be a moon that brings fantastic change to you. Fantastic justice and balance and understanding and power. And your subconscious message for the Queen of the Moon cards is patience. Be patient with yourself. Be patient as the world opens up, because at times you will not know how to move forward, and that is okay. But be patient, because things will be revealed. Then your subconscious message for this whole entire reading is the Five of Pentacles. You're leaving someplace you can't ever go back. You're leaving the past behind. And you are finding a prosperity and a bounty that welcomes you, that lets you in. And it's a hard ending, but it is a powerful, freeing release. All right, Gemini. I hope this reading has resonated with you. It has been a pleasure bringing it to you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you, and I love you all. Bye.